the access that the GMs talking to each other, the scouts sitting around talking about players and how they value different positions. I know you're obviously tied into, those group of people. Have there been any specific response from the new Hard Knocks with the Giants behind the scenes?
I think that I can't imagine that the Giants are thrilled to be airing all their private opinions publicly. Like, again, just one statement about Daniel Jones is now going to shadow him the entire year. Like, hey, either we find out we've got our quarterback for the next 10 years or we pivot off him. So you think as if playing New York Giants quarterback isn't a pressure-packed enough job already. Now you throw in some of these statements, which everybody kind of knows he's under the gun and he's got to step up and perform. But to hear the general manager actually say that on air is another thing. And to hear those conversations, how fired up do you think Saquon Barkley is going to be when they play the first game against the Giants? The Giants felt like they didn't want to hand off to a $12 million running back when they had a $40 million quarterback, but the Eagles have a $50 million quarterback, and they're going to hand it off for a $12 million running back, right? So these things are going to be remembered, and it's one thing to have Hard Knocks when it's about the roster spot for the 6th wide receiver job, or guys practicing during camp in the heat and some of the jokes and pranks that go on during. It's another thing when you're hearing the actual decision makers, the actual words of the decisions, and I promise you we're going to hear about that throughout the course of the season. Like, these teams are not thrilled to do Hard Knocks in the summer. And frankly, I don't know how they got the Giants to do it in the offseason. Good for them and good for the Giants, and respect everybody. We love to hear it all, but I'm just telling you, we're going to hear a lot about those comments all summer.
So it is interesting because the media does want to kind of boost this up, especially if you're talking about like the Eagles versus the Giants and that rivalry, obviously. And I can already hear it on the broadcast, their first game where they're like, oh, we remember what the Giants GM said about Saquon, yada, 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 and like, I think that's where they try to make the NFL into the WWE, and it really need not be, right? It really need not be. The NFL already has plenty of drama, plenty of intensity, extreme fandom, right? We love it. We talk about it 365, 24/7. It's the most dominant, most popular sport in America, and it's not even particularly close. We're constantly trying to expand the NFL as much as possible. So I don't even think we need some of this, fake outrage or this idea that like Saquon's going to be fired up even more. No, Saquon is going to be, I can almost guarantee this. Saquon wanted to be with a winning franchise. He wanted to get paid, but he wanted to be with a winning culture. He got drafted to a non-winning culture, a culture that was clearly spiraling and just can't get anything right. And that is the New York Giants. And so he went to Philly, and he knows Philly very well, not only because of where he's lived and the time that he spent, but he knows winning organizations. But obviously playing for the Giants and going up against the Eagles, he understands who the Eagles have been for the last, how many decades, but they've been just a true winning top-level organization, indisputable. And that's what's going to fire up Saquon more than anything, is the feeling, and this is what Philly does great, and you can ask any player there, most famously Kelsey and Lane Johnson have talked about this at length, where it's just like you have you feel the pressure, and not a negative pressure, the pressure of wanting to compete and be your best for this city, for Philadelphia, for the fans. And Bryce Harper as well, actually. Bryce Harper was literally moved to tears, from the Philadelphia Phillies during the playoffs, talking about how badly he wants to win for Philadelphia. He knows how passionate they are, how intense they are, how much they care. And it just watch the press conference. It's amazing. Like, he literally it's like the biggest, strongest baseball player we've ever seen. And just the most alpha guy you can get. And he's being moved, to tears over the fans there. And again, Travis, I might have said Travis Kelsey. I meant to say Jason Kelsey. I know you guys are probably going to hate me. You don't even know which Kelsey it is. Jason Kelsey said it. And, Johnson. And it's just it's a true effect that I'm very confident Saquon already knows and his experience, especially because of his college career and just where he's lived and all that. And like, to me, that is where the motivation is going to come more than anything. Yeah, you're going to get some of that fired up from the Giants, and of course he's going to want to play good against your ex-team. You always want to play against your ex-teams, even when you're a little kid and you're playing, 10, 11, 12-year-old, and you played for maybe one father one year, and then the next year you're playing for a different father. Like, you really want to play, really extra good even against the team that you were on before. So that's just human nature. But I really think all of this motivation and firing up for Saquon is to be like, I'm finally with a franchise that actually has a legitimate winning culture and a true chance at winning a Super Bowl. And I want to, pull my weight there. I want to be a reason why, I want to be a contributing factor as to why the Philadelphia Eagles are who they are. And I think someone like Saquon Barkley takes that very seriously. I really, really do. I think he's a stand-up person. I think a lot of these players around the NFL and just professional sports as a whole definitely have a lot of me mentality, which is understandable, right? At the end of the day, it is all about you and not about the team or the city, right? You got to take care of yourself. You got to get your money. You got to take care of your family. To me, it is always yourself and family over everything as well. But like anything, it's got to be balanced, though. And sometimes that gets really, really unbalanced. And with Saquon Barkley, I think it's great. I think he has that balance and he has that motivation. And so comments like this from the Giants, it's just funny to see them try to act like it was like the biggest deal ever. And in reality, to me, it just shows the signs of the Giants just being just being, I don't want to say clown show, that's too strong of a word, but just being so disorganized and poorly run. There's just no other way to put it. It's just poorly run. Why would you even put that on film? The cameras are there. Why would you even say that? Like, it's just bad business. It's just dumb. Like, why would they even phrase it that way? And I think they thought that conversation was going to come off more rough and tough than it was. And we're ruthless. We're the Giants. This is what we do. When it just comes off as just like dumb and weak, and you're embarrassing yourself more. It's just bad business. Like, the cameras are there. I've been enough around cameras. I know how to perform for the cameras. I know when you're exaggerating something or downplaying something, right? When you want to kind of highlight something or de-emphasize something. That conversation easily could have gone very, very different. Hey, you know what? We're really excited to have Daniel Jones be the center of this offense. As amazing as Saquon is, it became kind of difficult to evaluate just how good Daniel Jones is because we know how amazing Barkley is, and unfortunately with his injury history, it just became a little difficult for us to kind of keep this up. But we have the full faith behind Daniel Jones, and we believe that he's going to be able to pick up the slack. That is the benefit of having a quarterback to the level of Daniel Jones, that we're not reliant so heavily on a great all-time great running back, top level running back in the NFL. Boom, leave it at that. But instead, he just kind of said whatever nonsense he said. So just always funny, always entertaining, and I guess just always extra content to add to the NFL machine that it is. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that the Giants GM comments will fire up Saquon Barkley even more? Do you think those comments were even really that big of a deal at the end of the day? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.